So many years ago, there was an upstart company called Aurora DSP from Poland, and one of the very first things that they put on the market was the Rhino. It was their take of an all-in-one amp simulator product suite. Now, I did a video for Rhino back in the day, and Dan was like, hey man, it's been a couple of years, there's been a lot of updates, some new preamps have been added, why don't you take another look? And I was like, you know what, why not? Now, before we look into the updates, here's a great example of what you'd be able to do with Rhino. Now, I don't know about you, but that slaps pretty hard. And just to prove to you that that is 100% only Rhino and nothing else, if we look at my mix console here, here's all the drums in green, my guitars in orange. We have just the Rhino on the lead left and lead right tracks, and then over here on the rhythm guitars group, we have the Rhino. That is it. There's no extra EQ on those guitar tones. Everything that you heard is from Rhino itself. And I created presets for this, both the lead tone and the rhythm guitar tone. I actually created another like post-punk, kind of post-punk clean tone that I, for funsies. I sent all these presets to Dan already. By the time you're seeing this video, it probably should already have been updated. So go ahead and have a play around with those. So let's talk about basically what I did and all of the new features that have been added into the Rhino in the 4 or 5 years since it's been in development. Now, one thing I want to say right off the bat here is I do like the design being in one page. One of the things that I get a little annoyed with sometimes is all the extra clicking that one has to do. And yes, you can get in here and click these down arrows to expand the certain sections of the plugin individually if you so choose. The fact remains is you really don't have to unless you know you want to do something specific. You can just look at this page and go, hey, I want a screamer. Hey, I want a fuzz pedal. Hey, I have a 8-string, 9-string guitar playing in double drop G, F, blah, blah, blah. You can use the brute version, which will add a lot more gain and a lot more mid-punch to your guitar tone. Hey, I want to do some quick EQ. Now, the cool thing about the EQ here is, I changed a little bit because I made this preset, but all the EQ points are pretty much in the 4 basic areas that you would want to first look at or work with when it comes to guitar tones. And then on top of that, you can run a baked DI or a baked guitar tone right in here and EQ match it if that's what you would want to do. And then you can even mix that EQ match into your guitar tone. There's a lot of functionality here. I remember the tone matching was kind of a new thing back when Rhino was doing this, and now it's pretty much everyone does it, even like mix bus EQ matching with the Isotope plugin. So you just have to wonder like all the cool ideas that Rhino was already putting in here all those years ago. And then you have mod effects, time effects, again, delay and reverb. It's all on the same page, on the same panel here, and I really enjoy that because sometimes when you're working and stuff like that in other amp simulators, you got to switch between the different pages. Can be kind of annoying. Now, same thing here with the IR loader. You know, you have your resonance, your presence. You can make it hotter. You can change how the power amp section is affecting your tone, like flat, no, nothing, studio, live, more mids for the live, for example. And then 4 different IRs here, and it really doesn't matter what the IRs are. You're going to find a sound that you like, but if you want to go down that rabbit hole, you can click here and you can start going down that rabbit hole. And you can even drop a folder or an IR right into the plugin. Very simple and easy to use. I really enjoy it. Now, back then, when I looked at this plugin originally, they just had these 3 types of IRs. And then subsequently, they've added Bogren digital IRs, which is always going to be a huge plus because the Bogren digital IRs are very high quality, very good, especially the ones from Korda. I really like working with those. And they're all right here. And the cool thing is that everything is color coded, so we know what we're using. To be fair, I really don't know all of the new models that have been added here since I looked at this. When I looked at it originally, there was like a Kraken, a Mesa, some Marshall style amp, and something for clean tones, and that was kind of it. There are some new modules here that have been added. I'm using the gray one, which using it feels and sounds and reacts to what I would think would be a PB. I never really got confirmation from Dan exactly what these were, and at the end of the day, doesn't matter, not particularly. Pick what sounds good to you and work with that. And then finally, you have your out panel here where you can do some tightening, which would be, I'm guessing, some kind of multiband compression in the low flubby area, the Andy Sneap C4 trick. But you can also expand this section out as well, change the release times of the limiter. It's all very simple and easy to you. And once again, ergonomic, left to right, input, processing, output. It makes total complete sense when you're using it, and it's fast to use. And what you need to see is on one page. If you want to go more in details, for example, like the pre section here, you can adjust the screamer, the brute pedal, the fuzz, and the push, and you can adjust again how much tone or gain or level you would want with all these things. High passing, low passing, boosting, driving the amp, mixing the drive. Everything is in here that you would want to use. Now, don't forget, there's a secret little functionality that Aurora put in this plugin. And it's actually funny because this has expanded to all of Aurora's plugins subsequently. And that is if you click and drag on the Rhino skull here and you push it up, in this particular plugin, it's detuning. So you can get some crazy effects if you want to automate this, or you want to bring your guitar down, an octave, or do something just silly. You have an octaver here where you can push the tone down in an octave. On top of all that, you obviously have a bunch of presets. These are my old presets that I made years ago. I didn't look at them because I'm scared to listen to them and be like, oh my god, those aren't as good as they could have been. But it was 4 or 5 years ago, guys. So sorry about that. So these are all the original ones that I created, and then the new ones here, which will have been added, they'll be added here. This will probably also be renamed to Chernobyl Audio, just so you know. But you have a bunch of cool presets to work through here. Lots from Aurora DSP. It is freaking ridiculous. And it just goes to show you how versatile this amp simulator really is. One thing I do also want to point out that I like with Aurora's plugins, for some reason, I think their tuners are really good. I get very good results using this tuner. Normally, I am still, to this day, using the free G BST tune. It's literally the best plugin tuner on the market, and I'm not the only one that has that opinion. I know Wojtek from Hertz Studios, he also thinks that the G tune is literally the best tuner, bar none. I have paid for and tried other tuners on the market, and I just always go back to G tune. However, I'm very confident and comfortable using the tuner in this plugin. That just means it's one less thing that I need to load into my session when I want to work on guitar tones. So let me give you a listen of what this sounds like by itself. So this is just the preset that I created that you guys should already have, and you can check out yourself. Sounds a bit like this. I just wanted to create something super high gain and cutting, but also sounded good with some chug chugs. So really great sound, very easy to make. Took me about 15 minutes to put this sound together. And to go over the preset a little bit here, one thing that you might want to make note of here is I went pretty high with, let me make this bigger. I went pretty high with the high pass filter. Maybe you don't have to do that. It's around 30 Hertz by default. And bring the gate down a little bit. I think the gate is a little tight in the beginning, so bring it down. For me, it worked well at minus 60 here. I didn't really mess with the character at all. As far as I understand, if you have a super bright pickup or, just really bright strings with a bright pickup and what you're getting is very bright sounding, you can use the smooth button here, which I'm guessing is some kind of like a low shelf on the high end frequencies of the guitar. didn't touch it. I just kept it on normal. Obviously didn't mess with the input at all, just used my interface instead. And that's one thing to keep in mind. Another thing with the pre-section here is I did not use a screamer. Some things that you guys need to keep in mind sometimes is you don't need all the gain, okay? This particular preamp, I'm assuming is some PB of some kind, has a shitload of it, so you don't need it. Even though I was playing in drop B, it was still very clear, very chuggy, very easy to use. One thing you might want to do, perhaps, is check the EQ that what I did here with the amp. Push the lows quite a bit, a little bit of a scoop on the mids, and a little bit of a treble boost there. But a lot of the magic that I did here is actually with the EQ. I did my secret EQ trick that I've talked about for years on the channel, but then I replicated a kind of soft EQ that I like to do with an API plugin typically, which is around 7K. I will usually push that area of the guitar. Now, knowing that this is something that I like to do, I will often have more of a dark sounding amp tone in it by itself. So if we listen. So the EQ is doing quite a bit of work there, but very simple and easy to do. Don't have to load any other plugin, and I get instant feedback right away, so it's pretty simple to use. Cutting down on the resonance so it's not so flubby. Presence, again, pushing that up pretty decently. And then I believe I'm using a Bogering IR. Yeah, I'm using, it's called Fart Me Up. I literally don't know what that means. I just moved the dot around until I got in a position that I really liked, and that was pretty much the end of it. And the limiter I was mostly using when I was trying to mix this thing with the drums. Kind of was an afterthought, to be honest. But that was basically very simple to do, and I again really like that all this is on a single interface page. Don't have to do any page swapping. You're only going to open this module up if you know that you need to do something specific. Otherwise, you can literally do everything on the same page here. And it's the same situation with the leads. Now the leads I created also in Rhino 100%, and I don't remember or know what preamp section this is, but it's orange, and I gotta say I like the colors here. You can switch colors, by the way, to a blindingly bright white to a normal matte black dark grays, which I really prefer. And with the leads, I created something that would just fit well with the rhythm guitars that I created. And again, really like that everything here that I would want to use is here. Obviously in this section, I pushed the pre with a screamer a little bit, just tone, gain, and level based on taste. Lows, mids, and treble. Pretty typically with lead tones, you will bring the low end down on the lead. You're gonna wanna push the mids and enough treble, you know, to make it cut through the mix. But the mids really are where that voice is gonna be. That's generally gonna cut through the mix. And then with your time effects, super classic settings here with the delay, quarter sync, which is kind of funny how that worked out because the last section of the song I'm doing triplets, but still sounded pretty cool. So F it, and then delay into reverb, classic combination right there in the order that typically you might want to use it. It's just very easy to use. It's like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but it's really hard to say anything else, and I don't want to understate just how fast and easy this was to use. When it came to the EQ, once again, thinning out the lows and the low mids, bumping the mids a little bit, and then just, I think I did no, I didn't do anything. So just really bumping the upper mids, leaving the high shelf alone, and you get a lead tone that just sounds like this. It's kind of funny how it's triplets, but it's a quarter note delay, so it's kind of jank, but it actually sounds pretty good in context. Yeah, really easy, awesome sounding amp simulator to use. And that's really the end of the video, guys. There's not a lot to say about this plugin, which in my opinion is a good thing. It's not overly complicated. It's easy to use. It pretty much does what it says on the tin. Pick the preamp model for the sound that you want, shape it, choose the IR, and start making riffs. This is a fantastic tool for songwriting and starting to get into the tone crafting world of things. You know, like I say, you can do the tone matching with the EQ. That's awesome. You can load your own IRs. Awesome. All the functionality that you would expect from an amp simulator in 2025, it's right here. And it's really cool to think and consider that, you know, 4 or 5 years ago when Aurora DSP had just gotten started, you know, they had Mammoth, then they came out with Rhino, that they're still around and they're still providing value for people at a very good price. So given the price of this thing and everything that you get and all the value and how easy it is to use, it's hard to argue against it. So my opinion for 2025 and hopefully beyond, if you can only buy one amp simulator and you can only just use one and you're looking at this one, I can't fault it. It would be a great, fantastic decision. There's a lot of mileage to get out of this, especially because of all the different models that you can use, from high gain all the way up to, you know, using your 9-string guitars to clean guitar sounds. It's all in here and it's all at a very good price. So that'll do it for the revisit video, guys. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments. Maybe you already have Rhino. What do you generally use Rhino for? Why don't you tell me? And like I said, the presets should already be updated, so you can go ahead and have a play with those. And hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.